Tesla sales are plummeting like a rock, just right over the cliff in Germany, down 60% from January 2025 to January 2024. This is not a good start to this season for Tesla in Europe. We saw the other day that Tesla sales all across Europe is dropping. Spain down 75% and the rest of Europe down 10 to 30, 40%. But Germany, where they have the Gigafactory, down 60%. That's crazy. And then you'll want to see this article because there's even more important news in it. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Fred Lambert from Electric, he writes, I'll have a link to the article. Tesla sales dropped 60% in Germany. So we covered that, right? Earlier this week, we reported that Tesla sales crashed throughout all of the European markets in January. We covered that earlier this week. The two main reasons are believed to be the introduction of the new Model Y. So they do have a new model coming in. So a lot of people probably are waiting for that. And the disapproval of Tesla CEO Elon Musk and his meddling in politics, which is especially not appreciated in Europe. So we've seen this visibly in Europe. At the Gigafactory, they had I believe they had something kind of referencing Hitler, and Elon's his thing he did, his gesture that he made at the inauguration speech, that someone actually put that on the side of the Gigafactory. Just absolutely crazy. At the time, we didn't have the number from Germany, but now we do. So Reuters reported that Tesla sales were down 59.5% in January. And we can see from here that Tesla cars registered 1,277 in January 2025. While the overall German market was down just 2.8%, Tesla cars fell 59.5%. Okay, so that's absolutely crazy, especially when you go on and read this line of the article. This is undoubtedly a Tesla problem because the German auto market was down just 2.8% in January. And the battery electric market of the German auto market, so the battery electric market segment, was up 53.5% during that period. This has to be a little concerning if you are a Tesla investor and you have any connection to reality at all, which I know many of them do not. I got attacked vehemently by a lot of Tesla fanboys over the weekend. I actually tried talking to some of them, but that's just, you can't reason with people who are in a cult. Okay, even if you try to be reasonable, there's literally no reasoning with them. One guy, he has a Christian marriage counseling site, right? And he's attacking me just vehemently, just to the death, defending Elon. He's probably would defend Trump the same way, right? He's just one of these guys. And it's like, wait a second, on your site, you talk about the sanctimony of marriage and how it's super important that in a Christian household, you only have one wife, you don't get divorced, all this stuff. And yet he's out there and he's just worshiping those guys, right? It's kind of weird, right? Now, when I say something like that, understand for me, I don't care how many times someone gets married. I don't care if Elon has a harem of women and, whatever he does. It doesn't bother me, but I don't run a Christian counseling, wedding counsel or Christian marriage counseling website. So it's kind of this contradictory thing where they probably have these things they do in life, but because they're in a cult, it blinds them. Their cult blinds them to everything else, right? Even things that they might believe. And so if we're in reality, this has to be a problem. If you are a Tesla investor and you're pricing in a car that literally is supposed to be growing at 50% by the CEO's expectations, that's what he put out for us, by Cathie Wood's expectations, right? They're supposed to be growing 50%. Projections from Cathie Wood's had them at, I believe, 4 to 5 million cars a year right now. And they're limping along at 1.7, but they're priced for 4 to 5 million cars. I mean, there has to be some point where you realize this is an issue, okay? And is it Elon? Would they do better without Elon? That's the question, right? So we can see down in Germany, 60% down. Over here in France, 63.4% down. In Spain, 75% down. Sweden, 46%. Well, I guess nobody's 10%. I thought there was a market where they're 10% down, but there's none, right? Look at this. 18.2 is the lowest. So they're down huge in Europe. And this is pretty nuts, is Electric's take. Obviously, Tesla will use the Model Y transition as an excuse, and there's some truth to that. Obviously, there is, but it cannot be this large, especially when you have a 53% increase in the total market in Germany. None of those people were interested in Tesla. That's interesting. However, Tesla was transitioning to Model 3 around the same time last year, which also negatively affected 2024 sales. Okay. So that's absolutely nuts. And it reminded me of this. I want to cover something with you right here. It's still very funny that 1,000 people gave Tesla $250,000 for a Roadster 6 years ago. I want to get into this for the cult mindset. This was wrote by, I always forget how to say it, Jalopnik. I will link to this article. The Tesla Semi event launch event was held on November 16th, 2017, exactly 6 years ago last week. If you notice that, this article is from 2 years ago, but I believe it's highly relevant. I always come back to this when I'm just scratching my head over Elon fanboys, trying to understand what's going on with the stock market. At the end of that launch event, Elon Musk had a signature "one more thing." That was the unveiling of the incredible second-generation Tesla Roadster. Back then, the car was promised to be delivered in 2020, which obviously didn't happen, but it was very compelling. The order books for the car were opened immediately after the event, and people were asked to wire transfer $50,000 to secure their place online for the car, or pay the full $250,000 for one of the 1,000 Founders Edition models. This car was a huge deal in 2017, promising to be the quickest ever production car and the first to do a sub 2-second 0 to 60 time and a sub 9-second quarter mile. Of course, both of those have already been achieved by other production cars, including the Lucid Air Sapphire, and the Roadster also promised to be at top speed in excess of 250 miles per hour and 620 miles of range at highway speed. Can you imagine those promises? Those are absolutely nuts. And then look at this lady, right? This is just, these are Tesla fanboys. Look at these, a whole bunch of simps. Elon called this a hardcore smackdown to gasoline cars. Everything he said on stage was compelling. This promised to be a very fast, very flashy, very capable car, and at the $250,000 asking price would embarrass pretty much every sports car in the market in acceleration and likely lap times at most tracks. Now, that's not true, okay? And I just want to talk about this real quick. And Tesla, I don't believe they've ever said they beat people in lap time. So I do want to clarify this. That's the kind of person I am. I don't like when there's even small exaggerations like this. If you go to, I struggle with pronunciations of words. So, but I think it's Nuremberg, right? I struggle speaking English. So you can imagine when I try to say like German words, etc. So Nuremberg track in Germany is where you take a lot of these cars out and you do laps. And electric cars have never, ever done well. They won't compete with gas cars for a long time. It doesn't matter. They're made for straight line acceleration, but they are too heavy. So when you're on a track like that, right, the reason that you're going to have these gasoline cars just zoom by them is because they weigh so much less. Okay, and acceleration does not matter as much. F1 cars are not the fastest accelerating cars. What they are is they're super nimble through the corners. They don't lose much speed. When you're taking a 5,000, a car that has a battery that weighs 2,000 pounds and it's a 5,000 pound car, do a track and trying to do these kind of corners like this where you have hairpin turns and such, it doesn't matter what your acceleration is. You have to slow down from whatever your speed is way down in order to make the turn. And then it doesn't matter if you can speed up because you're just going to slow right back down. So what matters is how fast can you get through that turn? And that's why right now, gasoline cars or even hybrids have a huge advantage over electric cars on that. So I just want to be careful about that. I don't think Elon, I don't remember him promising that. And I think they're even kind of saying that they're making that up. If you had the money, why wouldn't you put a deposit down and wait a couple of years to pick up your new speed machine? From Q1 2017 through Q1 2018, Tesla was losing $7,430 per minute. The company was figuring out how to get Model 3 production up and running, and that costs a whole lot of money. Elon Musk admitted the company was less than a month from bankruptcy at the time. If you're a company in dire straits and cash is key to your survival, you'll do anything to get your hands on some, right? Would you make up some specs about some products and pass a hat around the room to get some deposits for your wildly unrealistic promises? Absolutely. And this is what happened. Okay, and they're going to cover that right here. The Tesla Semi event at which the Roadster was launched might have been the key turning point for the company. Rather than selling off some of its ownership of the company, Musk sold promises at $250,000 a piece and has yet to honor them. Tesla had a Kickstarter campaign and is not delivering perks. That $250,000 just for the Founders Edition cars probably helped the company quite a bit. Okay, $250,000, $250 million. And there's no telling how many $50,000 deposits the car got and still holds. Much the same way Starbucks isn't really a coffee company, Tesla isn't really a car company. Tesla is a promise company. This is absolutely correct. It makes promises to its customers, various governments, and other businesses. Those promises promises require upfront payment, and whether they come to fruition or not, the company keeps the money while continually blowing through deadlines. It's been 6 years since the Roadster was unveiled, and we haven't seen so much as a prototype out testing or putting in Nürburgring laps or whatever. If I handed over a deposit to Tesla, I'd be pretty perturbed about it. Hell, even a bizarre Cybertruck was introduced in 2019 and allegedly will reach some customers this month. How funny is that? It was 2024. And the semi has been in use by Pepsi and others for a while now. Roadster buyers, when are you getting your car? So this was written November 27, 2023. Cybertruck didn't come out until 2024. Okay, but let's just talk about this real quick. He is smack on the money here. And this is where I'm saying there is no connection to the market. Tesla is a promise company. That is a nice way to put it, right? So what they're doing is they went out, and Elon before this, if you remember, they kept issuing more stock, which is typically how companies in the stage, like if you look at Lucid, that's what they're doing right now. If you look at MicroStrategy, that is what they are doing right now. And Tesla was doing that too, but this was the event where I think Elon figured out, hey, I don't have to sell ownership anymore. All I gotta do is go out and tell these fanboys, tell these fangirls, just tell these morons, just lie to them, and they'll just give me money for free and they won't expect anything in return. And that's exactly what has happened. Elon has went out and he's just outright lied to these people, okay? And what do? They just gave him his money. And do you hear anything from these people? Not a peep, okay? And that's because they're brainwashed. Who gives somebody $250,000 for a product, has it not delivered 8 years later, and doesn't say anything? Only somebody in a cult. Okay, that's what I got for you. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe down below. Otherwise, all of you out there, have a great day.